The UK's flagship aircraft carrier suffers new misfortune and won't lead major NATO exercise.
Here's a summary of the article.
We, Yahoo, are part of the Yahoo family of brands, the sites and apps that we own and operate, including Yahoo and AOL, and our digital advertising service, Yahoo Advertising. When you use our sites and apps, we use cookie policy. Greater than cookies. Cookies allow the operators of websites and apps to store and read information from your device, authenticate users, apply security measures, and prevent spam and abuse. And if you do not want us and our partners to use cookies and personal data for these additional purposes, click Reject All. If you would like to customize your choices, click Manage Privacy Settings. You can change your choices at any time by clicking on the Privacy and Cookie Settings or Privacy Dashboard links on our sites and apps.
This post received a score of 3,500, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Someone needs to explain that just because they're playing the Russia side in the exercise, they don't need to have their side's flagship inoperable.
For the sake of realism, is the Queen Elizabeth going to be accompanied by a tugboat in case her engines fail or she catches fire like the Kuznetsov?
That story gets even better and stupider. Those tugs that tow around the Kuznetsov aren't Russian-made, they're Finnish-built, Chicker-class, and absolutely beautiful icebreaker tugs. And the Kuznetsov itself isn't Russian-built. It's Ukrainian-built at the Black Sea shipyard. And it didn't have to suck, the Russians just made it sucky. They wanted to burn cheaper fuel. They didn't want to spend the money outfitting it properly. There were actually 2 of them built. China got the other one, and it's a reasonably competent carrier. Not some smelly cloud factory that has to be towed around. Opening square bracket.
Well, when they got it, the Liaoning was little more than a wreck that had to be rebuilt from the keel up. But they learned a lot, copied the design and built their own, and now are about to launch their own indigenous-designed aircraft carrier.
Yeah, boats, planes, tanks, submarines, guns, missiles, that's been the Chinese strategy for their entire military-industrial complex, import and or license the designs for Russian trash, which is just a thinly disguised upgrade of a Soviet design from the 60s or 70s, then reverse engineer and upgrade it until you've bootstrapped your domestic capability to the point where they can design and manufacture wholly original Chinese designs that surpass anything Russia can do. It's smart.
The Soviets had some good engineers. For example, even the US became heavily reliant on Russian rocket engines once they realized how good they were post-Cold War. Even though SpaceX makes all their stuff clean sheet, they benefit a lot from combining the best American and Soviet techniques.
Yup. And although it's hard to know for sure, because Russia bullshits constantly about the capabilities of their military technology, there's reason to believe that Russia might still have the advantage in some missile tech. Air-to-air missiles, for example.
This is why the UK chose to have 2 carriers instead of one bigger one. Redundancy in case something goes wrong. HMS Prince of Wales is taking her place instead.
Let's not forget that David Cameron tried to cancel the building of both of them in 2010 but couldn't do so when he realised that the previous Labour government had inserted penalty clauses into the contract that made it cheaper to build them. The UK still wouldn't have had any if disaster Cameron had his way. This incidentally was the same David Cameron who had the nerve to complain last week that the UK wasn't prepared for a major war, having overseen the scrapping of the Harrier, the cutting up of Nimrods, a reduction of about 30% in the manpower of the army, and the cancellation of all new Type 45 destroyers, whereas Liz Truss was undoubtedly the worst PM of my lifetime and will challenge for the title of worst ever when historians assess these things. The title of second worst is actually competitive. I've got a friend who is convinced it's Boris Johnson, but I'm fairly confident that it's David Cameron.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.